Welcome to Pretoria Prime. On December 11th, 2025, Judge Napolitano's judging freedom dropped a conversation that felt less like an interview and more like a whispered warning from inside the engine room of empire. Titled, Douglas Macgregor, Why Threaten Venezuela? It cracked open the real story, behind NATO's cracked facade, endless Ukrainian bloodshed, and whispers of yet another war front in Latin America, hinting not at collapse from without, but rot from within. We are watching an empire stumble, and nobody in power is willing to call the balance sheet what it is. Listen to the through line. Institutions built for a different century keep standing because vanity and donor cash prop them up, not because the strategic case holds. NATO was a defensive hedge against the Soviet Union. After 1991, its raison d'etre evaporated, and, as someone on that program put it, you're either out of area or NATO is out of business. Yet it persisted as a kind of American ADT, free protection that became habit, not policy. What Macgregor got right is the inertia. Alliances survive prestige and bureaucratic survival, not fresh threat assessments. What he and Napolitano also expose correctly is how Ukraine revealed the limits, no treaty to drag the US formally in, no plan to absorb a state fighting a nuclear power, and a European public and treasuries frayed by inflation and politics. That is a larger disease, donor-driven decision-making. The conversation flagged a familiar pattern. Powerful donors shape personnel choices and policy priorities. The claim, voiced on air and attributed to commentators like Scott Ritter, that big money steers appointments and strategy should be treated as an allegation that demands scrutiny. Who benefits when wars continue? Who profits from perpetual procurement and politicized aid? This is not conspiracy. It is a structural fact of modern American politics that corrupts strategy into a product line for interest groups. Macgregor is right to identify it as a mechanism of overreach. Financial reality. The guest cited $38 trillion in public debt and a defense posture that chews through $1 billion a day. Empires cannot long be debtor states. That is Paul Kennedy's lesson, and it is the unifying thesis here. Imperial maintenance is unsustainable because the Treasury will not indefinitely underwrite legacy missions. What they miss in part is a clearer map of alternatives, how to channel deterrence into diplomacy, how to reprioritize domestic resilience so foreign policy has democratic consent rather than plutocratic funding. Then there's Venezuela, the warning drumbeat. The DEA line that Venezuela is not a major source of fentanyl complicates the public case for intervention. The ship seizure Napolitano called an act of piracy is precisely the kind of escalation that turns lawfare into kinetic risk. The Vietnam analogy is chilling and apt. Early landings met no resistance. Okay, now what do you want us to do? And then strategy collapsed into quagmire. That pattern repeats. Unclear objectives, overconfident entry, then endless occupation. If the goal is regime change for resource access or influence, ask again, who benefits and who pays the human and fiscal cost? Ask also who controls the silence about failed intelligence and covert operations, the agencies that have a history of interventionary projects, the same institutional reflexes that bred mistrust in past eras. Finally, the political center of gravity has shifted. Public polling shows massive opposition to new interventions. Democratic legitimacy is fraying. The remedy is not isolationism so much as realism. Honest presidential address to the nation, transparent debate, cutting the money pipeline that makes forever war profitable. Empires don't fall because of a single battlefield defeat. They crumble through unpaid bills, forgotten lessons, and political capture. We have the lesson of Kennedy, the arithmetic of debt, and the historical echo of Vietnam. The urgent question for citizens and leaders alike is, will we insist on strategy that serves the Republic, or will we continue funding an empire past its capacity? Empires collapse not with invasions, but unpaid bills and forgotten lessons. So why again are we about to repeat the same script? Who benefits and who will be left to pick up the tab? That's it, my friends. Please like and subscribe to support my channel. You can find more content on my Spotify and on YouTube under the handle at Pretoria Prime. Until we meet again, this was Scipio Americanus of Pretoria Prime News.